How are you doing? Good. How are you? How are you doing? Go ahead and start. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. On a nice sunny day, a little bit cold this morning, but it really warmed up nicely. I'm Bennett Knox. I manage natural areas for Louisville Metro Parks. I'm based out at Jefferson Memorial Forest, and I'm going to be kind of emceeing the day. But really happy to gather. This has been a long project, long in the making. This is actually the first phase of what could be here, but we're here today to dedicate the Bradley Greenway at Clifton Heights and this hiking trail that has been in the works now for probably about a decade in terms of getting it to the point where we are. Just a little bit of background before I introduce Mayor Fisher. This is now a formal park. We're going to cut the ribbon today so people can find this, and we definitely see great turnout from the neighborhood. So I hope you all have hiked it so far. This property, when we obtained it, was in fairly bad shape in terms of invasive species, historical dumping that was here. It's always been a woodland in the neighborhood. And so our role as the Natural Areas Division of Parks was to work with the folks you're going to hear from today to try to get to this point and have it be a wonderful community asset. And so that was what we've set about to do. So just a brief history. This goes back probably 20 years now. Clifton Neighborhoods Community Council has been involved, and Dave Visselcell is going to talk later. We had conceptual renderings in 2007 that called for this to be connected as a greenway to Melwood and ultimately to what would become the Louisville Loop. And so what we're doing today is dedicating more of a first phase, which is a hiking trail to try to give the community access and hopefully generate some support for what might be able to be accomplished to implement the full vision of that concept plan, which is on our website, as you can find. Over the last decade, what we've really been doing with our staff, and I want to make sure to thank those folks, is working with volunteers like Kevin Downs, who you'll hear from, to convert it. And so we've invested a lot of energy and sprinkled in a little bit of grant money here and there, sprinkled in money from council members Tina Ward Pugh and Councilman Hollander to remove invasive plants, open it up, and work with volunteers to actually construct this trail. So that's kind of what we do with the Natural Areas Division of Parks. And I just wanted to honor the volunteers that have helped make that happen, as well as really our staff, in particular Brian Lewis, who's our Natural Areas Manager. And I know I'm not going to put him on the spot today, but he's actually retiring from Metro Parks after 27 years. And this is really a linchpin for him. He's constructed this with his labor and that of his staff. So thank you, Brian, for all your hard work. Brian, yeah, please raise your hand, Brian.
There you go. All
yeah.
Right.
No, really glad that we could come here today and honor what he's accomplished over the last 10 years out here. And this is just one of the many projects that he's been involved with. So thank you, Brian. So I didn't want to speak too long. I do want to mention Mayor Fisher and give him the opportunity to introduce others. So Mayor Fisher, please.
All right. Thank you, Bennett. Appreciate that. I wanted to recognize Keith Talley, too. Also, Keith is here. He's our chief over community building. So he's got parks and Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods and resilience and community service that goes on and on. So Keith, welcome. Thanks for coming out today. There you go. Our parks team, man, they work hard. How many? We've got 125 Metro Parks? More than 100, he's saying. Okay. It's a lot to say grace over. And when you think about our park system in our city, we got the Olmsted Parks is one group. Then we got Waterfront Park. Then we got Parklands at Floyd's Fork. And then we got Metro Parks as well. They are probably in terms of philanthropic support, the least funded of all of our parks, even though it's the most in numbers. So we got a tremendous staff and volunteers. Thank you guys. So much of the community comes together to make our park system what it is. So this is a outstanding announcement we're having here today. I want to thank Wilderness Louisville for their support in the transformation of this greenway. MSD and LG&E has played a big part of that. I just had a pleasure to meet, second time for one of them, the Bradley family. I want to thank you all for your support in the restoration of this newest natural area in our city. It was some 40 years ago when the family farm was retired in this space behind us here. So they said when there was a cow that got loose, people know where it came from, and they'd be the first ones to get the call, and they'd have to go wrestle up their cow here in the Clifton neighborhood. So that time has passed, but thank you, and I know your parents would be really proud and happy to see what's taking place here today. So let's hear it for the Bradley family over here. Bennett kind of described, it's been a long process to get this stuff done. Unfortunately, our city government doesn't have nearly as many funds as it should from time to time. It's changed, though, now in the past 6 months with the Coronavirus Relief Act, the American Rescue Plan funds, the infrastructure bill that was signed into by President Biden last Monday. So there's going to be more money flowing to the city here over the next 3, 4, 5 years, where you're going to see more capital projects taking place in Louisville than we've had in decades and decades. So that is a welcome things to see. As much of that as we can put into our natural areas and into environmental projects that are sustainable, I mean, that's the way to go. Getting people outside is always a good day. It makes people feel natural because we are nature. Sometimes we think we're not, but being part of nature elevates all of us in any potential way we can do it. So a project like this that's kind of right in the middle, closer to our downtown, is really, really important for us, and this can only expand from here. I want to reiterate my thanks for the neighborhood volunteers. Clifton Heights, one of the great neighborhoods, some would say the greatest neighborhood in our city. So thank you all for doing that. Let's hear it for Clifton and Clifton Heights. We also really appreciate the Louisville Engaging Children Outdoors program, our ECHO program, who participated in this. So sometimes these big projects just come together with a lot of people working toward a common goal. And Bennett, the work that you do with ECHO and Wilderness Louisville, we really appreciate that as well. You all in this district have been really blessed by great council people. Tina Ward Pugh was your original council person, as you know, post-merger. And then she retired, and then you have another incredible council person in Bill Hollander. There's 20, let's hear it for Bill. I can tell you there's not a harder working council person than Bill. We've known each other for quite some time, but he chairs the budget committee, and that's tough to keep 26 Metro Council people happy. And we've got now, with all these additional funds coming into place, it's like we've got 3 or 4 different budgets going on, and I'm grateful that Bill is leading that effort for us. So with that, I say thank you, and please welcome Councilman Bill Hollander.
I took a walk in the woods and came out taller than the trees. I'm reminded of those words of Henry David Thoreau as we dedicate this little urban oasis today. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Bennett Knox, Brian Lewis, and the rest of the Metro Parks team. The Clifton Heights Bradley Greenway has been a dream for people in the Clifton Heights neighborhood for years. I remember knocking on Kevin Downs' door when I was campaigning in 2014, and he invited me into his house to show me the plans for this greenway. Kevin and so many others in the neighborhood not only dreamed about the greenway, but they put in the sweat and toil to make it happen, volunteering with Metro Parks to build the trail. The Bradley family was supportive of the effort. Private donors helped supplement funds, and I want to recognize Dan Jones, who's with us today. His father, David Jones Sr., was a donor to this project. Private donors helped supplement public funds that started when Tina Ward Pugh represented the district, and we were able to use District 9 funds to finish the work on this first phase. As I prepare for my last year in office, I'm reminded that public service is like a relay race, with projects started under one person and finished by another. I'm grateful to Tina, who we invited to this ceremony and who would have been here today, but she is out of town. I hope you enjoy the Clifton Heights Bradley Greenway and appreciate at least an occasional walk in the woods. As Thoreau also said, what is sour in the house is a bracing walk in the woods that makes sweet.
Well, we'd like to invite Dave Vislicel to come up, president of the Clifton Heights Community Council and longtime advocate for what we're here today to celebrate. Dave?
Thank you, Bennett. Well, that was music to my ears to hear Bennett Knox, no less, say this is the end of phase 1. I can't tell you how overjoyed I am, and I know that our neighbors are. And many people from reaches out well beyond our neighborhoods have discovered this park and this greenway, and they will continue to discover it and use it, we hope. I'm going to do a little twist on the recognizing people who helped here. If I could name this park myself, we did because the Bradley family were originally promised to be named in this park. We were able to accomplish that by working together, Metro Parks, Mr. Hollander, and so you guys, again, I want to tribute you. But if I were to name the park, I would call it the Clifton Whites Bradley, Kevin and Terry Downs, Tina Ward Pugh, David Jones, Bill Hollander, Metro Parks Lisa Height, Brian Lewis, and their volunteers. They've brought in many, many volunteers from all over. I would continue naming it Mary Brady, Deb Osofsky, Elizabeth I got Manton. It's not quite Martin. It is. I'm sorry. Dolores Collins, our former president, who was so influential here, and many, many, many more.